Welcome to Warn. Today's headlines are: Armed Forces get strategic Indian oil terminal for Defence. Union Minister of State for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Dharmendra Pradhan foundation stone of Rs 507 crore Indian oil terminal at Pekubela in Una in the presence of Chief Minister, Virbhadra Singh. The opening of Indian oil terminal will be a new milestone in the history of Himachal Pradesh and also from strategic point of view, said the Union Minister. The Una terminal would be strategic storage point for Indian defence to meet annual winter fuel stocking in Leh and Ladakh and en route Pathankot to Srinagar, besides for Indian defence at Kuru, Nimma, Upshi, Kairi through the mighty Rohtang. It would cater to 224 retail outlets, 22 superior kerosene oil agencies, 125 consumer pumps meeting requirement of 5,080,000 KL annually in HP. Under advance winter stocking, approximately 90,000 kiloliter petroleum products would be supplied to Ladakh region when road links open through Rohtang and Hajila passes. Indian Army issues purchase plan of 200,000 close-quarter battle carbine. The Indian Army seeks a CQB carbine with 5.56 mm caliber having minimum range of 200 meters and a hit target with accuracy better than 4 minutes of angle. Carbines are rifles with short-range barrels and are suitable for close-quarter combat. Last year, Indian government cancelled a 6-year-old tender for obtaining 44,618 close-quarter battle carbines and 33.6 million rounds of ammunition. That bid was won by the Galilease of Israeli weapon industry, IWI, but the Indian Law Ministry did not give a final go-ahead for the single vendor situation deal, as only one firm passed the trials conducted by the Indian Army. 4 other global firms, including Italy's Beretta, participated in the bid but failed to meet the tough specifications laid down by the Indian Army. This led to a single vendor situation which attracted the attention of competitors who suspected foul play. India to accept Russian funding guarantees for submarine upgrade. India's Ministry of Defence, MOD, appears, for now, to have resolved the financial deadlock with sanction-hit Russia over providing bank guarantees for one of its significant naval programs. Industry sources said the Indian government had agreed, ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to St. Petersburg for an economic summit in early June, to waive the mandatory bank guarantee for the midlife upgrade, MLU, of an Indian Navy, diesel, electric kilo-class submarine. Instead, New Delhi will accept a sovereign guarantee from the Russian government for Sindh Yuksari SINR 10 billion, $156.25 million, MLU at the Zvezdoka shipyard in Severodvinsk in northern Russia. Pakistani lawmaker seeks probe into proliferation of nukes in Musharraf-Era. A Pakistani lawmaker has called for thorough investigations into the country's nuclear proliferation to Iran and North Korea during former military ruler Pervez Musharraf's regime. Pakistan People's Party Senator Farhadullah Babar said yesterday that the father of Pakistan's nuclear program AQ Khan had been singled out for nuclear proliferation and demanded that the entire network be exposed. Seeking thorough investigations into nuclear proliferation, Babar said 73-year-old Musharraf, in his book In the Line of Fire, concedes that several tons of nuclear material and drawings had been smuggled from Pakistan to Iran, Libya and North Korea. But only 81-year-old Khan was singled out for nuclear proliferation, he was quoted as saying by Dawn News. Babar argued that it was impossible for any single individual to smuggle out huge centrifuge machines and other nuclear material without connivance and assistance of other players. 4 multi-billion-dollar contracts cancelled by Arun Jaitley. Focus on Make in India. Defence Minister Arun Jaitley has pulled the plug on 4 long-delayed defence purchases worth over Rs 20,000 crore. Last month, a Rs 10,900 crore contract for surface-to-air missiles for the Army was scrapped in favour of an indigenous missile system. Now Jaitley has recommended the cancellation of contracts for armoured recovery vehicles, ARVs, naval multi-role helicopters, MRHs, and torpedoes, worth about Rs 10,000 crore, which were comatose with the MOD for years. In 2011, the MOD had placed a Rs 1,770 crore contract with Bharat Earth Movers for 204 ARVs, used to tow tanks, made by Poland's Boomer. Delays resulted in a 20% increase in Indiana cost thanks to the appreciation of the dollar. Another contract, worth Rs 1,800 crore, for the purchase of 98 Black Shark torpedoes manufactured by a subsidiary of Finmeccanica, now Leonardo, came under a cloud after the firm was accused of paying bribes. The fourth, for the purchase of 18 naval MRHs, hit an impasse in 2014, when commercial bids by Sikorsky for S-70B choppers were found to be way above the Rs 6,000 crore the MOD had set aside. What you think? This action will help Indian defense industry? Please comment below. 73 Unfinished roads sanctioned by UPA for the Northeast will now be completed by 2020 by Modi government. At the meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping in Astana on Friday, the Indian side emphasized that it is important for India and China to work together closely, and the Chinese agreed that the countries should focus more on cooperation and work alongside to provide assistance with each other's development goals. The offer of cooperation and assistance is, however, unlikely to be applicable to the 4,057 kilometers long India-China border, where the state of infrastructure on the Indian side has not kept pace with that on the Chinese side, a situation that will not improve by the commissioning of the Bhupen Hazarika Setu, Dhola Bridge, on the Brahmaputra last month. The slow progress on the construction of India-China border roads, ICBR, has led to the deployment of penny packet, or numerically small, units of defenses by the army, leading to concern at senior levels in the government. In March, the army briefed top government officials on the progress on ICBR. Just 21 of the 73 roads to be built under ICBR have been completed so far. Defense Ministry sources told the Sunday Express that the top officials were deeply concerned about the slow pace of construction. The construction of these 73 ICBR roads was sanctioned by the UPA government in 2005, and work was to have been completed by 2012. The proposed date of completion has now been revised to 2020. Pakistan forces capable of defeating all threats irrespective of the front. Pak Army Chief Pakistan Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa today warned India that his forces are capable of defeating all threats irrespective of the front during a visit to the forward positions along the line of control. Gen Bajwa also reiterated Pakistan's support for Kashmiris' right of self-determination during his visit to the forward positions along the LOC in Muzaffarabad sector. We are aware of defense and security challenges being faced by the country and we are capable to defeat all threats irrespective of the front, Gen Bajwa said. According to an army statement, Gen Bajwa was briefed by the local commander regarding operational situation, ceasefire violations and response by Pakistani troops. India should have let Australia participate in Indo-US-Japan naval exercise by choosing, reportedly, to decline Australia's request of participating as an official observer in the multilateral Malabar maritime exercise to be undertaken by India, Japan, and the United States in July. New Delhi is handing over a quasi-walkover to China in the strategic games, as they unfold, in its backyard. Australia is known to have taken up discussions vis-a-vis the involvement of the Royal Australian Navy in Exercise Malabar with India since 2015. For that matter, during a visit to Tokyo in April this year, Australian Defence Minister Maurice Payne publicly acknowledged Canberra's desire to join the naval manoeuvres, stating, "Australia is very interested in a quadrilateral engagement with India, Japan and the United States. Placing Australia and Japan's centrality shall define India's strategic sagacity, as it foresees the emerging strategic scenario developing in the Indo-Pacific. Given India's economic footprint and the charter of its maritime interests, the notion of the Greater Indo-Pacific has begun to eclipse the limited sphere of influence of the Indian Ocean." U.S. Navy unfunded requirements list totals $4.8 billion. Aircraft topped the U.S. Navy's 2018 unfunded priorities list sent to Congress this week, as the service seeks $2.7 billion to buy 24 more planes. The aircraft are part of an overall $4.8 billion, 48-item Navy list of needs left out of the $171.5 billion Navy fiscal 2018 budget sent to Congress on May 23. Navy accepted the carrier Ford into the fleet. With commissioning set for this summer, the Navy announced Thursday that it has accepted its newest aircraft carrier, the Gerald R. Ford, with a commissioning ceremony projected for sometime in July. The acceptance of Ford marks the beginning of the end of a very long road for the new carrier, which incorporates several new technologies including an electromagnetic launching system that will replace the old steam launch system, and a new arresting gear system, a high-tech brake calibrated to the weight and design of each of the aircraft it's trapping. The carrier successfully completed its acceptance trials May 26 after the U.S. Navy's Board of Inspection and Survey completed its assessment of the ship. The Navy is still working out the kinks in several new technologies, including the electromagnetic aircraft launch system and the advanced arresting gear, but the Navy has plenty of time to do that ahead of its first deployment, which is slated for 2022, according to Navy documents reviewed by Navy Times. X-37B spaceplane to get lift from SpaceX. The X-37B is heading back to space later this year, and this time the spaceplane will launch for the first time ever by a SpaceX Falcon 9, the Air Force announced late Tuesday. The fifth mission of the X-37B, sometimes referred to as the Orbital Test Vehicle, involves carrying the Advanced Structurally Embedded Thermal Spreader, ASETS-11, created by the Air Force Research Laboratory, the service stated in a news release. Although the Air Force gave scant details on the nature of the mission or the capability of the new payload, generally speaking, the X-37 is used to help validate emerging technologies and concepts of operations related to reusable spacecraft. In a statement, it explained the ASETS-11 would test experimental electronics and oscillating heat pipes in the long-duration space environment. Thanks for watching. I hope you like this news. Please share your views in comment box. Please like and share this video. Press subscribe button and bell for auto update to you regarding my channel World Action and Reaction News. Warn.